Good evening, and I'm back again, this time with a very different subject. The subject today is this most ancient of questions, who am I? And we will investigate this subject, this question, in the light of the Upanishads this evening and tomorrow again at the same time. So this is the question we will be looking at. Vedanta is basically the teachings of the Upanishads. Vedanta nama Upanishad pramanam. The definition of Vedanta is the philosophy based on the teachings of the Upanishads is Vedanta. I think most of you are familiar to some extent with Vedanta and the Upanishads. The Upanishads present the highest philosophical teachings of the Vedas. They are among the most ancient texts known to mankind. There is a long list of Upanishads. In fact, in one of the Upanishads called Muktika Upanishad, we find a list of 108 Upanishads. But among all of these Upanishads, there are some 10 or 11 major, within quotes, major Upanishads. Major, why major? Because Adi Shankaracharya, some 1200 or 1300 years ago, chose these Upanishads to write his commentaries, Bharatiyam, on these Upanishads. And these Upanishads basically have become the central texts of Vedanta. So the Vedanta movement you see all over the world, these Upanishads have become the source texts. Shankaracharya interpreted these Upanishads in a non-dualistic fashion, so his teaching is called Advaita Vedanta. That is the context in which we will be discussing all this today. Among all the Upanishads, especially among these major Upanishads, there is one Upanishad which is regarded, which is the smallest of all the Upanishads and also regarded as the toughest, and that is called the Mandukya Upanishad. There is a saying that Mumukshunam Vimuktaye Mandukyam Ekameva Alam. For the liberation of those who want spiritual enlightenment, mumukshu, those who want mukti, for them, the Mandukya Upanishad alone is sufficient. So if you read this Upanishad and you are lucky enough to understand what it means and realize what it means as a living reality in your own life, you are free. You don't need anything else. So for liberation, the Mandukya itself is sufficient for those who want liberation, for those who want moksha or spiritual enlightenment. It is the smallest Upanishad. The only 12 mantras are there in this Upanishad. It is found in the Atharva Veda. You all know that there are 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda. In the Atharva Veda you find this Upanishad. Among other Upanishads you find this Mandukya Upanishad. Only 12 mantras. So it's like a small chili which is very hot. Sometimes in Bengali they say dhani lonka. A small chili which is very hot. In this Mandukya Upanishad, the most important mantra, the central mantra, central text is what you have in your hands now, the handout. The 7th mantra. The 7th mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad. This is in fact the core mantra of the entire Upanishad, of these 12 mantras. And this gives a direct answer, the highest possible answer that you can find in our scriptures, in Vedanta. And I have not found any more sophisticated, more profound answer in any of the literatures of the world religions or philosophies which I have come across at least. At least I have not found myself, nor has anybody reported anything more profound than this. So when I was given an opportunity to talk to you, I decided, what the heck? Let me go for the toughest text. Let's see what happens. We'll take it up as a challenge. Normally we don't use this in a general gathering. It's usually reserved for those who have studied Vedanta for a long time, and only then you take up this one. But pay attention, and I think we'll all derive a great deal of benefit from today's lecture and tomorrow's also. Tomorrow I'll go further, a little deeper into this text. The Mandukya Upanishad was commented upon by Gaudapada Acharya. Gaudapada Acharya is the guru of Shankaracharya's guru. So Gaudapada Acharya's disciple was Govindapada, and Govindapada's disciple was Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. So in Uttarakhand, in Himalayas, they say Guru or Dada Guru, grandfather, like that, grand Guru. So Shankara's guru's guru was Gaudapada Acharya, and he wrote verses on the Mandukya Upanishad. These verses are called Mandukya Karika. So nowadays when you look at the Mandukya Upanishad, you usually find them in a book called Mandukya Karika. It includes the Mandukya Upanishad plus Gaudapada Acharya's commentary on the Mandukya Upanishad in the form of verses called Karika, plus Shankaracharya's commentary in prose, in Sanskrit prose, on the original Upanishad as well as the Karikas of Gaudapada Acharya. So this is the book, Mandukya Karika. It has 4 chapters. The first chapter incorporates the Mandukya Upanishad, the original text, as well as certain commentaries given by Gaudapada Acharya. And this mantra is found in the first chapter, in the Upanishad itself. It's the 7th mantra. We will come back to this at the end of the talk. When I learned communication long way back before I joined the order, my communication teacher told me, you should start all talks with a story. So I'll start this talk with a story. About 10 years ago, in the Himalayas, in the high Himalayas in Gangotri, I was staying there for about a month, just like a traditional monk, no ashrama, no school, college, Ramakrishna Mission, nothing, just staying in a log cabin, begging for my food in the Anna Kshetra, and meditating and studying. And staying in the log cabin means not like this. There's no electricity, no furniture, nothing. Just rajai, kambal. On the ground there is a blanket, and 2 or 3 blankets you can put on yourself. And it's so dark in there at this time because you cannot go out. It's very cold and dark outside. Nowadays they have electricity, but nowadays they even have mobile phones. They have put up a tower nearby, so you can signal there. I saw that happening, by the way. Anyhow, at that time it was so dark. At this time in the cabin it would be so dark that if I wave my eyes to wave my hands before my eyes, and I could not make out whether my eyes are open or closed. You cannot see anything. Only sometimes you can see sparks jumping out of your woolen clothes in static electricity from the kambal to your sweater. But anyway, so that was the situation. One day after Bhiksha, I was taking a walk with some of the monks there with whom I had made friends. And this monk, he told me a story. So you can see the setting in the Himalayan through the forest tracks. There are deodar trees are there, pine trees also. And you go through that, you're taking a walk around 4:30 or 5. Dinner is at 4 o'clock. So, because afterwards it's too dark afterwards. And this monk told me a story. The story goes like this. Raja Janak Raja. One day he was asleep, very peacefully sleeping, and suddenly the sentry came running and said, I'll use a mixture of Hindi and English, but I'll translate into English also, because the story was told to me in Hindi. Maharaj ji, uthiye, get up, what happened? The enemy has attacked, we must fight a war. So Janak Raja immediately got up, summoned his generals and his soldiers, and he went off to battle, put on his armor and sword and everything, took his sword and everything and went off to battle. And there was a fierce battle in which Janak Raja was defeated. He was wounded, he was captured by the enemy, dragged before the enemy king, and the enemy king said, Tumhara rajya ab hamara rajya hai. I have captured your kingdom. Now I will not kill you because you are a king, I will exile you. You get out of this kingdom, it's mine now. What could poor Janak Raja do? He was tired and exhausted and bleeding and depressed. Somehow he started walking, and people in what was his own capital earlier, they refused to give him water or food because they were afraid. They said, the new king is very cruel. If they know we have helped you, he will punish us. After walking for 2 days, he came to the border of his kingdom. Then he crossed the border to the next kingdom, and he found food was being served to poor people, beggars. So there was a long line, and I think they were serving rice or khichdi or something, in a big handa was there. So he joined that line, and as he advanced in the queue, when he came up to the place where it was being served, at that time it was finished, no more food. And he could not take it anymore, he was feeling terribly depressed and tired and exhausted and in pain. And the person who was giving food, he said, just this starch which is lying at the bottom of the handa, that is there, I'll give it to you if you want it. He said, okay, give me that. And he gave him a bowl, filled that starch in there and gave it to him. Before he could lift it, trembling to his lips, a kite, cheel, was circling up there. It dived and hit that bowl, knocked it out of his hands, and the bowl went rolling in the dust, and whatever was there was spilled in the dust, and Janak Raja could not take it anymore. He was so overcome with misery and sadness, he fell down on the ground. Ha ha kar karte hue, as he said, the sadhu, ha ha kar karte hue. Ha ha kar in Sanskrit, ha kar, Hindi ha kar, not English ha ha. So it means just the opposite. And when he was crying, alas, suddenly he heard a voice, Maharaj ji, kya hua? What happened? Sir? And he woke up, his chest pounding, covered in sweat, sitting on the bed. And the sentry has come, Maharaj, you shouted, what happened? So it was a dream. The whole thing was a dream, a nightmare. Nothing has happened. But because Janak Raja was very, he had a very analytical mind. So he looked up and he said, wo sach ya ye sach? Is that true or is this true? Is the dream true or is this waking world, is it true? Wo sach ya ye sach? Sentry was taken aback. What is this? He called the minister. Sir, what is wrong? Wo sach ya ye sach? They called the queen. The queen thought, this old man, what has happened to you? His wife came, what happened to you? Wo sach ya ye sach? There's only one thing he's saying. Wo sach ya ye sach? Nobody could understand this. Next day in the morning, in the marketplace, it's already trick problems. People are talking in hush hush. And Ashtavakra Muni, the great Jnani, he's walking, he has come to the city and he heard this is what is happening. Now he was a Jnani, so he knew what has happened. He decided, I will go and visit Janak Raja. And he went to the court and he asked Janak Raja, kaise hain? Maharaj ji, how are you? And Raja said, wo sach hai, ye sach. That's what he's doing all day, sitting in the court, surrounded by the queen and the ministers and the army and the generals and everything. And I'm sort of imagining, this is not part of the story, but I'm imagining, the officers coming with files, please sign, wo sach hai, ye sach. No work is getting done. When he said this to Ashtavakra Muni, same thing, wo sach hai, ye sach. Now Ashtavakra Muni knows what he is referring to. So he said, Janak Raja, when you were rolling in the dust, bleeding, tired, defeated, depressed, crying on that ground, what he is referring to only Janak Raja knows and he knows. Nobody else understands. What is this defeat and all this? At that time, was all this there? Your power, your wealth, your queen, your generals, your minister, all these things were there or not? Janak Raja said, no, none of this was there. Only defeat and depression and sadness and misery. And now you're sitting here in the court, surrounded by your courtiers and all this power and wealth. That defeat, that depression, those wounds, that terrible situation, is it here? The king said, no, it's not here. Na, yahan to nahi hai wo. Then Ashtavakra Muni said, to Raja, na ye sach, na wo sach. Neither this is true, nor that is true. This was not there in that terrible dream. And today you are in this situation, you are calling it a dream, that is not here. Then Janak Raja was shocked. The next question which would come to all of us, he's saying, to kuch bhi sach nahi, is it nothing true then? Then the Muni said, jab wo aap wahan par the, on that battlefield, on that place where you were rolling in the dust, defeated, crying, were you there or not? Tab wahan aap the ya nahi? Did you see that or not? Yes, I was there. I saw that. That may be false, but I have experienced it. It may be false. I woke up and I say it is false, but I have experienced it. Or idhar up, where you are now sitting in the court, idhar bhi aap hai ki nahi? Are you sitting here and experiencing this or not? He says, yes, I am experiencing it. To Raja, na ye sach, na wo sach, but tum hi sach. Neither that is true, nor this is true, but you the witness of both situations. You alone are the truth. This is a story. The rest of the lecture, we are going to struggle with this concept and try to understand what is the meaning of this story. The meaning of this story and the meaning of this mantra are exactly the same, but we will see. We'll try to understand it. At least intellectually, let's get a grasp on what they are saying. Whether you will be convinced or not, that comes later. But understanding comes first. What he is saying is, I, who am I? The ego. You can put it this way. It's a jumbo duster. Okay. You can call it the knower also. Knower. Is it visible or it's too small? Too small. Okay, I'll write a little large. Now you have the waker. Janak Raja, when he was awake, you all of us, we are the waker now. We are in the waking state, hopefully. Some may be drifting off. And this waker, what does he or she, what does he experience? The world, the waking world. I'm just giving this name. The Sanskrit name would be Jagrat Prapancha. So the Sanskrit term is Prapancha. In Hindi also we say Prapanch, ye sab Prapanch hai. The term comes from Pancha. Pancha means 5. The idea was there are 5 elements out of which the world is constructed. Prapancha Prakrishtena Pancha. By the elaboration or mixture of these 5, the entire universe is constructed. Anyhow, the general idea is Prapancha. So the waker sees this waking world. And when Janak Raja was dreaming, or when we dream, he was the dreamer. And he sees a dream world. And there is another state which we all go through, where we are neither awake nor dreaming, absolutely in deep sleep. No dreams are there. Even modern science accepts it. Neuroscience also says that's dreamless sleep. One is REM sleep, you could talk about rapid eye movement sleep, another one is dreamless sleep. So this dreamless sleep, we can call it the sleeper, not the railway sleeper, there's a sleeper, the one who is in deep sleep. And we cannot say a sleep world, we can say a sleep world would be sleep blankness. What do we experience in deep sleep? Nothing, just blankness. Even I am sleeping, that kind of a thought also is there, no thought at all. So we can call it a sleep blankness. What this Upanishad tells you is that you are not the waker, you are not the dreamer, you are not the sleeper. What you are, the real you, is the fourth state, which is called Turiyam or Turiya. Now don't be scared about this term. Turiya simply means number 4. That's all. Turiya means 4. Chaturtham. The mantra here does not use the word Turiyam. That word was introduced later by Gaudapada Acharya in his commentaries. But the word mantra uses the word, if you will notice, Chaturtham, 4th. And Turiyam. This is all that the mantra is trying to tell you. All that Ashtavakra Muni was trying to tell Janak Raja. That what you saw, the defeated Janak Raja, in the world where he was defeated, he was expelled from his kingdom, he was suffering in the neighborhood kingdom and lying on the ground, and all the circumstances of that world, the dream world, and he who was dreaming there, both are not real. But there is a 4th one who was watching that. Right now, you are the waker, I am the waker. This is not our real nature, but there is a 4th one who is watching this waker and the waking state, illumining both. And similarly in dream state. This is the basic idea. I will explain it with the help of an example. What is the reality? The reality or the real you, answer to this question is, who am I? According to this mantra is, you are this Turiya, the fourth. It's like roll number 1, roll number 2, roll number 3 and roll number 4. The Upanishad begins with this statement, Soyam Atma Chatushpat. Who am I? You have 4 aspects. You have 4 aspects. The Upanishad begins in the first mantra. The 4 aspects are these 4. Among these 4 aspects, 3 are false, 1 alone is real. 3 are false, 1 alone is real. Now the interesting thing is, the Upanishad says this is real, this is who you are, the answer to the question, who am I? But we are not aware of anything like this. If you talk about the waker and the waking world, we are aware of that. This is what we know, what we are right now experiencing. You are the waker, Mr. or Mrs. so-and-so, or Miss so-and-so, or Swami so-and-so, experiencing this classroom. This is the waker experiencing a waking world. This is what this is. And when tonight I'll go and sleep and dream, I have certain experiences, I will be in that dream also. Then I am the dreamer, I am experiencing a dream world. And when I go into deep sleep, blankness, nothing, absolute blankness. There you can call it the sleeper and experiencing a sleep blankness. Remember, the sleeper, for example, in the sleep world, there is no external world, no physical body, no mind, nothing, just blankness. That is from a subjective point of view. Be careful, this is your own experience. This is not an objective experience. For example, I remember once one Swami was talking about it, and he's saying in the deep sleep, which is called the Sushupti, in deep sleep, there is no experience of the world, there is no body, no mind, only a blankness. Then somebody in the audience asked, what do you mean there is no body and mind? In the mosquito net, under that we can see the fellow is sleeping. 80 or 90 kilos, nicely snoring. How come there is no body, you are saying? From objectively, from your point of view, but you look at it from the person's point of view, who is asking this question, who am I? From his own experience, your own experience, in the deep sleep, daily we experience this. That no experience of world, no experience of body, no experience of mind also. Even the thought, I am sleeping, that's not there. If you say, I am sleeping, then you are not sleeping. And it's not deep sleep. So that state we all experience. And apart from it, they talk about a Turiya, or Turiyam, whichever. The fourth. How ought we to understand this? These 3 we can understand, but this one is not very clear. What is this one? Let's look at it this way. Suppose we have an ornament made, say, a bracelet or a bangle and necklace and a ring. Somebody tells you, these are all golden ornaments. Somebody tells you, these are just names and forms. The reality is the gold. The reality is the gold. It's a golden bangle, golden necklace or golden ring, but the reality is not the bangle, necklace or ring. The real substance is gold. And there's an interesting story about this. One Sethji, whose business was not going well, he went to take some loan, girvi rakhna. So he took his Ganesha and put it in the pawn shop and he said, you give me some loan. And the jeweler, he weighed it and he said, Ganesh ji ka kya rate doge? This is the rate. This is the rate at which I will purchase the Ganesh statue, or I'll give so much money for that. And Ganesh's Vahan is there, the mouse, the chuha. And the jeweler also weighed that and gave the same rate. Sethji was furious. क्या करते हैं आप? गणेश जी का जो रेट चूहा का भी वही रेट? How is it possible? Then the jeweler said, अरे साहब आपके लिए तो गणेश और चूहा है, हमारे लिए तो सोना ही है. I see it as gold. So I am weighing the gold and giving you the rate of that. So the gold is the reality, the substance. Now if somebody tells you, a person who does not understand what gold is, tells that person that it's not a bangle, necklace and ring are just the names and the forms and the functions, Bangle is something you put here and it's called a bangle. Necklace is something you put here, it's called a necklace. Ring is something you put in your fingers, it's called a ring. But the substance, the reality of all of them is gold only. Now, suppose a person does not understand what gold is. His idea will be that there is something, some reality called gold apart from all of this. If he throws away all of this and starts searching for gold, will he find it? No, he will not find it. There is no gold apart from these. But if he thinks this is gold, what will happen? The moment somebody comes and melts the bangle down and makes a necklace out of it, he thinks the bangle itself is the gold. When that goes away and is melted down, what will he think? Gold is gone. Gold is gone. He does not understand the new form which has come, necklace, is the same gold. It's the same gold in another new form with a new name and a new function. When that necklace is also melted and put into a ring, it is the same gold with a new name, with a new form and a new function. But the physical reality is the same. Similarly, the idea here is the waker and the dreamer and the sleeper. The reality is that you are the witness of all three states, and you are in and through these states. The idea is that there is no fourth separate reality called Turiya. It is the same reality which is now being called a waker in the waking state. It is the same person, same reality, same consciousness which will be called a dreamer in the dream state. It is the same reality which will be called the sleeper in the sleep state. What is the difference between these states? Here we are in a physical body with the sense organs, we are interacting with the physical world, and this is the waking state. So waking state, there is a great preponderance of the physical body and interaction with the physical world through the sense organs, with the indriyas. So here the term they use is bahishchitta, extroverted consciousness, consciousness which is flowing out into the world. The dream world, they are very commonsensical, the Vedantins. They know the dream world is simply constituted out of our experiences in the waking state. So when I go to sleep, whatever I have experienced in the waking state throughout my life, those elements are taken together, made into a khichdi, and comes out as a dream. So there is a dream world which is constructed out of the mind. The physical body is not active there. It's only when we wake up we realize the physical body was sleeping. But I went to Delhi and I did so many things there and came back, and when I woke up I was in IIT Kanpur, but physically I did not go to Delhi. That body was lying there under the mosquito net in the hostel house, wherever. So the dream world is entirely made of the mind. So there they say that the term they use is antah-pragyam, where consciousness is directed inwards, working only in the mind, not externally in the world. And the sleeper, deep sleep, no experience is there except that blankness. When we wake up, we say that I did not know anything, I slept like a log of wood. No external consciousness, no dreaming also, very peaceful sleep I had. That's what we say when we wake up from deep sleep. So the deep sleep is a state of absolute blankness, and the term they use in Vedanta is pragyana ghana. All these terms will come. Pragyana ghana means a mass of consciousness. Mass in the sense, there is nothing for consciousness to illumine. There is nothing for consciousness to illumine. It just remains in blankness. All the external world, the dreams, everything is pushed into a mass which is not expressed, which is not experienced there. In a potential state it is there. Why do you say it's in a potential state? Because the next moment when you wake up, everything is back again. Here is the IIT campus and your responsibilities are the same body and the same people all around. So everything is back again into your life. So it's in a sort of potential state, in a dream state. So all of these, according to the Mandukya Upanishad, they are not the reality. The reality is the consciousness in all of them. What they are saying is this: just like gold is apart from all of them and yet in and through all of them. How is it apart from all of them? When bangle goes and it is made into a necklace. So necklace is not a bangle. Necklace is not a bangle. Bangle is not a necklace, but both are gold only. Similarly, when the necklace is transformed into a ring, the ring is not a necklace. Necklace is not a ring, but both are gold only. So gold is apart from bangle in the sense that when bangle goes and is made into a necklace, gold survives. When necklace goes and is made into a ring, gold survives. So gold is there in all of them. They are apart from each other. Similarly, the waker is apart from the dreamer is apart from the waker, but there is something continuing in both of them, that is the turiam, the fourth one. Similarly, the dreamer is apart from the sleeper is apart from the dreamer, but you own up, all of us, we own up, it was my dream and it is my deep sleep, and it is my waking. Who is that one who is saying it is my waking, my deep sleep, my dream? That one is the consciousness which is apart from the waking self, apart from the dreamer self, apart from the sleeper self, and yet in and through all of them. So that this turiam, the reality, is right now here. It is here now. But it is not exactly the Mr. or Mrs. so and so. What is added to the turiam are the circumstances of the waker. It goes like this. Just like gold, you have consciousness. Just see, you are aware of this class now. Before this class was not there, something else was there in your life. Now this class is going on. After some time, this class will be over. Something else will come. Maybe you'll go back to your hostel or your house. So a new circumstance will come. In all cases, what happened before, what is happening now, what will happen later, you are the consciousness watching all of them. The circumstances are coming and going. Look at your own body. You see yourself as a young person or a middle-aged or an old person. Remember, the same consciousness was watching when you were a 10-year-old kid, when you were 20 years old, what you are now, and it's the same consciousness which will be watching when you are much older. So the body is changing continuously. The consciousness which watches the same. How can you say it is the same? Because it's our experience. We own up to it. I was the one in the 10-year-old's body. I am the one in the teenager's body. I am the one in this middle-aged body. So who is this continuous I? Because the body is changing. Body is continuously changing. Similarly, the mind is also changing. Imagine your mind when you are in, say, class 10. You're sitting for your class 10 examination. Why I'm saying class 10? Because everybody remembers the class 10 board exams and the first big board exams which you had to face. So imagine your mind at that time, what you knew, what you did not know, what you liked, what you did not like, what you wanted, and just imagine, compare it with your mind now. You know so many things more. Your likes and dislikes have changed. What you want in life has changed. So the mind is also continuously changing. But there is the same consciousness which was watching the mind of that class 10 student is also right here watching the mind of this IIT student now. So mind is a series of changes. Consciousness is not changing. Similarly, every day when we go from waking to dream to deep sleep, when we go from waking to dream to deep sleep, the consciousness is the same. See, the world has changed. The waking world disappears and the dream world comes. A dream body comes. Remember, the body which you have in the dream is different from the body of the waking world. Why? Because the waking world body is lying on the bed. But in the dream body, you are doing so many things. It's a false body, no doubt. But your experience is that you have a body there in that world. So, consciousness is apart from the waking world and the waking body. Consciousness is apart from the dream world and the dream body. And consciousness is apart from the deep sleep blankness. It is in and through all of them. The states are coming and going, and the ego associated with each state is coming and going, but the consciousness is illumining all of them. The correct way to show this diagram would be, the fourth one is not here, but the fourth one is here, turiyam or turiya. It illumines the waker, illumines the dreamer, illumines the sleeper, and this is the only reality, and this is the answer to who am I. The question is, what are you or what am I apart from this waking state, apart from the dream state, apart from deep sleep, apart from the physical world of the waking state, apart from the mental imagination of the dream state, and apart from the blankness of the deep sleep state. One of our Swamis used to give this example. Station master sitting on the station, maybe in Kanpur, and First, Rajdhani Express comes on the platform number 1 or something, Rajdhani Express comes. So very important train, lot of people are getting in and getting out, so much of rush is there, so much activity. The station master watches. Then he gives a signal, the Rajdhani Express goes away, but the station master does not go away with Rajdhani Express, he is watching. Then another train comes, maybe a goods train, no activity, smoky, not many people, and very few people, 1 or 2 people may be there. It comes and stops for some time, station master is watching. He gives the signal, the goods train goes away. But the station master has not gone with the goods train. He is on the platform watching. Next, what happens? No train is there. It's a blank platform. The blankness is there. The station master is watching the blankness. Now, this is exactly what is happening. You, the pure consciousness, you watch the arrival of the waking state, just like Rajdhani Express. So many hopes and aspirations and success and failure and problems, all of it comes with the body and with the world, and you are watching. Only thing is, you get identified with the mind in the waking state and say, I am Mr. So-and-so and this is my reality. These are my problems, these are my hopes, success and failure, these are my goals. After some time that disappears. You, like the station master, this one, you are watching. Dream world comes with a dream body, with dream, nice dreams and nightmares and all and so forth. You become identified with the dream body and dream mind, and you go through these dream experiences. Then that also goes away, blank platform. You are the consciousness watching the blank platform. And again the waking state comes, and Rajdhani Express comes again. But you are apart from all of them. Not only you are apart from all of them, you are untouched by all of them. You are untouched by all of them. The sufferings and enjoyments of the waking state, of the dream state, and the blankness of the sleep state, none of them touch the pure consciousness which is apart from all of them. But it sustains all of them. In its light, the entire game is illumined. This whole thing is illumined in its light. Now we'll quickly go through the verse and try to understand what they are trying to say. Let me read out the verse once for you. Then I'll break it up and explain it. Now you'll see it will all become perfectly clear. The verse goes like this. The mantra goes like this. Nantaf pragyam na bahish pragyam na ubhayataf pragyam na pragyana ghanam na pragyam na pragyam adrishyam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam havyapadeshyam ekatma pratyasaram prapanchopashamam shantam shivam advaitam chaturtham manyante sa atma savijneyah. What does it mean? Let me take you through this. There are 3 parts here. The first 2 parts, first part, it denies that you are the waker. It says that you are not this waking person you imagine yourself to be now. You are not the dreamer. You are not the sleeper also. That's the first part. The second part of it will deny you are not this Turiam, the reality, real you. You are apart from this waking world. You are not this physical body of the world or anything to do with this world. You are apart from the dream world. And you are apart from the blankness of the sleep world. The third part will tell you that you are in and through, just like gold is through all this. The third part will tell you, you are the consciousness which is watching all this panorama, this game of the Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. Okay, let me read it out. First, Nanta Pragyam. Now you can easily understand. Anta Pragyam literally means the inward directed consciousness. It means the dreamer. He says, you are not the dreamer. Na Anta Pragyam. You are Turiyam, na Anta Pragyam. The fourth one is not the dreamer. Na Bahish Pragyam. You are not the waker. You the Turiyam. You are, your real nature is not the waker, which you imagine. Now all of us, this is our reality. We think, I am Swami Sarvapriyananda standing here in this lecture hall number 3 in IIT Kanpur. This is my reality. He says, no. You are the consciousness illumining this temporary appearance in your consciousness. Okay. You are not the waker. Na Bahish Pragyam. Anything in between, waking and dream sort of. Na Ubhayata Pragyam. You are not something in between also. In between consciousness. I think many students are familiar with this in-between consciousness. After a lot of, maybe a long lecture, we tend to go into an in-between consciousness, between waking and dream. So, I've seen many times the notes that you take in that in-between consciousness are very interesting. Something the teacher is something that is coming from your subconscious mind, something the teacher is thinking, and a mixture of that will come in your copy. Okay. So you are not in between also, nothing in between. Na pragyana ghanam. Who is the pragyanam ghanam? The deep sleep. You are not this one also. You the turiyam, pragyana ghanam. Na pragyana ghanam. Turiyam, na pragyana ghanam. And na pragyam. Here the word pragyam is interpreted as, are you some kind of God, omniscient God, Ishvara, Bhagavan? Na pragyam. You are not that also. So this is the meaning of pragyam. Na apragyam, the last word. Na apragyam, sandhi has been done, na pragyam. What does that mean? In that case, is my reality that I am not sentient? I am some jada vastu like a duster or a chalk? He says, no, not that also. So, na apragyam, you are not unconscious. You are not all-knowing God. You are not the waking person. You are not the dreaming person. You are not the sleeping person. Number one, Turiya is none of these. Number two, the second part starts. Adrishyam. What is Turiyam? Adrishyam. Literally it means invisible, but also means it's something that you cannot see, you cannot hear, you cannot touch, you cannot smell. It is not an object of our five sense organs. Sometimes people say, if God exists or Atma exists, why can't I see it? It's like saying, if the Higgs boson exists, why can't I see it? Because it is not yogya, it is not a subject of your normal vision. You cannot see it that way. If it was, if there is you can say that there is no elephant in the room. Why is there no elephant in the room? Because I can't see it. That's a perfectly correct statement. Because if there was an elephant, you could have seen it. But if there is an Higgs boson, you cannot say, because I cannot see it, it's not there. Similarly, here it says, the consciousness which you are is not something that you can see or smell or touch. Adrishyam. Second, avyavaharyam. It is not within transaction. Transaction means usable. What we can see and feel and touch, what we can speak about, what we can use, that is vyavaharyam. Pure consciousness is not an object which can be talked about, seen, felt and used. It is not transactable, it's avyavaharyam. But remember, it is the ground, it is the source of all vyavahara. Without that, none of this can occur. None of this can occur without the pure consciousness, which is illumining all this. But it is itself avyavaharyam. Agrahyam, it cannot be grasped, which means it is not a vishaya of the pancha karmendriyas. You cannot hold it with your hands, you cannot walk to it in pilgrimage. You're going to Badrinath or Kedarnath, I'm going to Turiyam. You cannot walk to the Turiyam. And so agrahyam. Alakshanam, this is a technical term. It means it cannot be inferred. Lakshana here means the sign by which you infer something. The road is wet. So what do you infer? There was rain earlier. So is there some such sign? In Sanskrit, the classic example is Parvato Vanniman Dhumat. There is fire on the hill because I can see smoke. There is a relation between smoke and fire. So if I see the smoke, I can infer there is fire. A lot of science is done like that. Through some science, and you infer a chain. But here, this cannot be inferred because there is no sign by which you can infer it. Then, achintyam, you cannot think about it. Have you thought about it? Then it is not turiyam. You cannot think about it. But remember, the opposite also holds. Whatever you think about is illumined by this turiyam. The fact that we are having a conscious experience is because of this turiyam. So you cannot think about it. Achintyam, avyapadeshyam. It literally means it cannot be named. It cannot be named. It will take some time to explain why it cannot be named, but it's very interesting. Shankaracharya there goes into an exposition. Where can we use language? Where can we use language? There are 5 areas where language works, and he shows in the Turiyam, none of those 5 apply. I can tell you in brief, you can work it out for yourself. It goes like this. If you can use language if there is some jati, some species, if some object belongs to a class. So it's a cow. Why? We know the characteristics of the class of cows. So this object is a cow, you match it with the set and you say it belongs to that set. But there is no set of Turiyam. So it cannot be part of a class. Jati. Then second is guna. By some quality. Give me the red flower. How do you distinguish the red flower from all those flowers? By the quality of red. But you cannot say Turiyam has got some quality because it's supposed to be nirgunam, beyond all qualities. Then you can use kriya. Call the cook. Shankaracharya uses this example. Pachaka. Pachaka is the cook. How did you use language there? By the function of that person you are saying. Call the driver, call the cook. But Turiyam is Nishkriyam. No activity. Unchanging. So you cannot use Kriya there. Jati, Guna, Kriya, Sambandha, relation. So call the teacher. Who is the teacher? Who is relation of teacher and student? Because of the teacher and student, there is a relationship between these two persons, father and son or whatever. But Turiya, there is no relationship because it is one unchanging reality. There is no second apart from it. All these appear in its consciousness, but they have no reality apart from it. Just as bangle, necklace and ring have no reality apart from gold. If you remove the gold, the bangle disappears. If you remove the water, the wave disappears. If you remove the wood from this, the table disappears. Similarly, Turiya is the only reality which is appearing in all these ways. So there can be no sambandha, no relation between it and anything else. And finally, there is convention. They call it Rudhi. This person's name is Prakasha. Why are you calling it Prakasha? Just like that. It's just a name given by my parents. That this person is called Prakasha or Hari or whatever. There also you cannot use that method of naming Turiya, because to name somebody you have to point out this person. It has to be pointed out apart from all other objects. This person from now on is called XYZ. But you cannot point out Turiya that way. So language cannot operate in the case of Turiyam. And so Abhyapadeshyam. Up to this part is the second part of the mantra, where you will see actually he denies that Turiya is any of this. The entire physical world, the entire dream world, and the blankness of deep sleep, all of them are denied here actually. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, you cannot infer it, you cannot think about it, you cannot speak about it. So all of this is denied. None of this is Turiyam. And then the third party comes to, then what is Turiyam? Now it speaks about it in positive terms. He says, Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. Eka, one, Atma, I. Pratyaya, the cognition, the feeling of I-ness. Saram, the essence. If you follow this I feeling, you will come to Turiyam. You know, when Ramana Maharshi says, who am I? You practice that. It's this thing. Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. This is exactly what Ashtavakra Muni told Janak Raja. In the dream state where you there, dream is false, no doubt, but were you there? Yes, I was there. In this waking state now, are you there now? Yes, I am there. That is the Atma Pratyaya. I feeling, the consciousness which is in the waker, in the dreamer, and even in the sleeper, which is illumining the blankness of deep sleep. That consciousness is in and through all this, just like gold is in and through all this. And that is the Turiyam. Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. This is a very extraordinary word. Atma Pratyaya, I feeling. You follow that I feeling, you come to a core which is the Turiyam itself. Prapancha Upashamam. Upashamam means cessation. Prapancha is, these are Prapancha. Jagrat Prapancha, Swapna Prapancha, Sushupti, you cannot call it Prapancha, but anyway. Prapancha Upashamam. What is the Turiyam? Where it is completely untouched by the trouble and the sorrows and the limitations of these three Prapanchas. Shantam, absolutely peaceful, ever undisturbed. There is no world there to disturb you. That is your reality. And Shivam, Shivam here means Ananda Swarupam. It is full of joy. Advaitam, non-dual. Non-dual why? Because there is nothing apart from Turiya. Just as gold is Advaitam with respect to bangle, necklace and ring. Ring is apart from necklace, necklace is apart from bangle. But none of them are apart from gold. In fact, in all of them, what is the only reality? Gold. Why do you say it is the only reality? Because if you remove the gold, they will disappear. So with respect to these three, gold is Advaitam, non-dual. There is nothing apart from gold in this. Similarly, with respect to our universe, three universes, waking universe, dream universe, and the darkness of deep sleep. With respect to them, Turiyam is Advaitam. They are not apart from you, the Turiyam. In fact, in that sense, it's a tremendous statement. If this is not apart from you, the Turiyam, in that case, this waker is you, the Turiyam, and his entire waking world is actually you, the Turiyam. In that sense, you are the world. You can actually, the Advaitin declares, I am the world. Atme Vedam Sarvam. I am everything. I feel oneness with everything. Just like in the dream world, you were there, many people were there, non-living things were there in your dream. But when you wake up, what do you say? It was entirely constructed from my own mind. That means whatever you saw in the dream was you, actually you. You are one with everything in the dream. You means the waker. You are one with everything in your dream. When you were dreaming, everything was generated from you. So you are one with everything. In the same way, in the waking world also, everything is generated from the Turiya or projected in the Turiya. So we are all one with all that we experience in that sense. So Advaitam. Last part you can easily understand now. Chaturtham manyante. People think it is the fourth, roll number 4 here. They say manyante. Foolish people think there is something fourth, some gold apart from bangle, necklace and ring, some gold is there. But there is no Atma apart from these three. You have to look there itself. So the fourth one is not here. The fourth one is here, which is shining through these three. You have to examine the experiences in the waking state, in the dream state, and the sleeping state, and for that you have to do it in the waking state. To examine the experiences of dream or sleep, you don't have to go into dream and sleep. You don't have to start sleeping. You have to look back upon those experiences and see what was common all through. What was common all through. It is not a fourth apart from all this. That's why he says Chaturtham manyante. Chaturtham literally means Turiya. People think it is a fourth reality, but actually it is the only reality, because 1, 2, 3 are actually false. These three are not real. They are appearances. Their reality is fourth. There are not 4 things here. There are not 4 things here. There is only one thing, which is gold. It appears as bangle sometimes, sometimes as necklace, sometimes as ring. The reality is gold. Similarly, the reality is the consciousness, which we are calling the fourth Turiyam. It appears as the waker now. It appears as the dreamer. It appears as the deep sleeper. And Chaturtham manyante. Who is this Turiya? We are coming to the end. Sa Atma. Sa Atma means that is what you are. Atma means I. Atma literally means I. Atma does not mean a ghost or something, Paramatma, nothing like that. Atma means I. Sa Atma. That fourth one is the answer to this question, which we started with. Who am I? Who am I? This fourth one. Turiyam. Sa Atma. Now what do you do after all this? Sa Vijñeyaha. That has to be realized. Not only listening about it in a class or reading about it in a book, but making it a living reality. One interesting thing, Swami Vivekananda says, I will end with this. Swami Vivekananda says, he who runs away from the world to meditate and die in a Himalayan cave, searching for God, he has missed the way. He who plunges headlong into the luxuries of the world, he wants to enjoy the world, he too has missed the way. Then what is the way? Then what is the way? The way is to deify the world, to spiritualize your everyday life. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. Now with this background, you can actually understand what he means. It is the pure consciousness which you are appearing as the waker now. But it is the same thing which in all beings. And it's the same thing which appears as the non-living world. And therefore, it is the same spiritual reality which I am, which you all are, which all this is. In that sense, we are one with the world. That is spiritualization of the world. When Upanishad says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, you see God in all beings. This is how you see. This is the most profound and very sophisticated way of looking at it, which you find in the Mandukya Upanishad. And therefore, if anybody, Swami Vivekananda says, if you leave all this and search for Turiya elsewhere, it is like throwing away the bangle, necklace and ring and searching for gold. You miss the way. If you grasp hold of this waking world, this alone is real and I am this one, then you are in trouble, because this one will slowly become old and sick and die. This waking world is continuously changing.
Sir, why do we consider light better than dark? Or similar traits? I might not be myself clear because I don't have that much insight in it. But I still have that feeling that we consider some things as good.
Yeah.
Why so? Why are the others bad?
Yeah. See, there is certain predisposition within us. Light better than darkness, if you say, we always experience ourselves as conscious beings. Isn't it so? very word experience. Experience itself includes, it's almost tautological, it's almost circular to say that we experience ourselves as consciousness, because experience includes the fact that there must be consciousness, otherwise how will you experience? So, our very nature is to be conscious. You have never been unconscious, you have never had an experience of unconsciousness. When you come out of, suppose you were unconscious, you come out of it, then you think back and you say, at that time I was unconscious. But in unconsciousness you don't experience anything, blankness. So you always experience your own self as consciousness, as a conscious being. Now just extend it, light is very much like consciousness. Physical light, of course, is a good example for consciousness. Why? It illumines. And we are, just the opposite is darkness, which is an absence of light. So in that sense we like light because it's very much according to our nature. Another thing is, we always search for happiness. We always search for happiness. We try to avoid unhappiness. Therefore certain things which make us happy, we say they are good. With certain things which make us unhappy, we say they are bad. Although the things in themselves may be quite neutral, they may not be good or bad as such. But the effect they are having on us is happiness and unhappiness. Now the whole idea here is, the self which I have discovered here is beyond this happiness and unhappiness. The happiness and unhappiness are all within this waking world and the dream world. Okay. Question? Yeah, there's a question there. Yeah.
One is that here they have used Anta Prajnam, Bahish Prajnam.
Bahish Prajnam. It actually should be Bahish Pragyam, and the spelling mistake is there. Yeah.
So they have used in Napumsakalingam.
Yeah.
Suddenly they will change it to Pullingam in last.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Actually, it is difficult to say. They will simply pass it off as Ashva Prayoga. Ashva Prayoga means, Ashva means comes from the Rishi. So you don't hold the Rishis to the rules of Sanskrit grammar. So you will find a lot of times in Upanishads, in Kena Upanishad for example, you will find this usage, Te Vidanchakara. Te Vidanchakara, they knew. But you know Sanskrit grammar, you would say it should be Te Vidanchakruhu. They knew in plural. If Te is there, it should be plural. Vidanchakara is singular. Now the question is raised in Kena Upanishad, how come you are starting with plural and you end up, the verb is in singular? This is a basic Sanskrit problem. But there you cannot touch it, because the idea is the Shrutis. You should not use your grammar on the Shrutis, you just leave it as Ashva Prayoga. The translation would be roughly poetic license. Poetic license, just like you would not hold a poet to the rules of grammar. So here also you leave it, you just leave it like that. Yeah.
Last bit is there that Sir Vignayana.
Huh.
So who is that who has to know all these things? Because he doesn't have that any of the sambandha with any of the other things.
True.
So the knowing sambandha also who should have?
Absolutely. This is a good question, and I will deal with it tomorrow in one of the Karikas. I'll just give you one line answer. Gaudapada Acharya will take up this question, I think in the 17th or 18th Karika, which will come in the second handout, which you will get tomorrow. And the answer he gives is, just now, quite apart from all this, we find ourselves ignorant. We do not know this. We are just reading about it. We don't feel that. But our reality now is that we feel, I am this one, this I don't know. I don't know myself as this. This ignorance I have. About what? About the Turiam. I have an ignorance about the Turiam, and because of this ignorance, I imagine that I am the waker. Now in this state, I am the one who has to realize myself as Turiam. When I realize myself as Turiam, I will realize that there was no waker or waking state separate from me. Gaudapada Acharya's answer, one sentence answer to that is, for the purpose of instruction, the relation between knower and known, in fact this is the exact word he used, Upadeshad, for the purpose of teaching, the relationship is set up between Guru, Shishya, Shastra, and all of that is sublated, Badhita, when you realize yourself as the Turiam. It's not that they will disappear. Moment you realize I am Turiam, suddenly Sarvapriyananda will disappear, the classroom will disappear, everything will go into a haze of white light. No. They will still be there. Just like when you realize the blue sky, the blueness in the sky. Actually the sky is not blue. You know the physics behind it. So it just looks blue. Now once you understand the physics behind it, you know fully well the sky is not blue. After that, when you look up at the sky, what do you see? Blue sky. Similarly, here you will realize what is the Turiam. This world will keep on appearing. Your friends need not be scared, that if you realize the thurium, we will all disappear. You will realize the background. Just like once you realize this is gold, it doesn't mean the bangle will disappear, or the necklace or the ring will disappear. You just know the reality behind it. That will come in the 17th or 18th Karika. Exactly this question is answered. Yeah. Any other question?
So Maharaj, how the Turiya is separated from the all these things?
I'll just finish that one and come to.
What is behind consciousness? That is what I am asking. What is consciousness? If there is such that is flowing through all these states.
Yeah.
But then who is observing that consciousness? What is behind that consciousness?
The answer would be, there is nothing behind the consciousness, because according to Advaita Vedanta, consciousness is swaprakasha. It's like light, a tube light which illumines this hall. The hall is in darkness. When you switch on the tube light, the hall is illumined. Now, do you need one more tube light to illumine that tube light? You don't. The tube light illumines itself and the hall. In the same way, consciousness is self-illumined, and it illumines whatever comes in front of it. So, you don't have to posit one more consciousness, because then it leads to what is called anavastha, regresses as ad infinitum. And it goes with our experience also. When I am conscious, I don't require one more consciousness to illumine the consciousness. But remember, this consciousness is apart from the thoughts. One thought can be about another thought. A thought can be about the world, and a thought can be about other thoughts also. So thoughts can be about other thoughts. That's what's called introspection. But this consciousness is not introspection. I'll tell you one interesting question came. You've heard of Susan Blackmore, those who do research in consciousness studies and AI and all. She is a well-known researcher. So she says this idea of self-consciousness, I, it's nothing permanent. And some spiritual people say I-ness, the permanent I is there. No. She says it's just like the example she gives is a refrigerator. When you open the door, there's a light. So whenever you open the door, there's a light. But when you close the door, is the light there? Actually, because you know how the refrigerator is designed, so there's no light there, you know that. But we can never see it, unless you are a mechanic when you open everything up. But whenever you open the door, there is a light. And these people, Susan Blackmore says that these people, they make a mistake. When they look in their minds, they see an I-ness. But the I-ness disappears. Suppose we are talking about flow yesterday. When you are in flow, in fact, the I feeling disappears. So there is no permanent I, that's what she is saying. But she is making a fundamental mistake here. Advaita Vedanta would say, what she is taking, the refrigerator light, that is not consciousness. That is the ahankara of the waker, the I, the ego here, the knower. This comes and goes. This also comes and goes. This also comes and goes. But what illumines their coming and going, the station master, that is what is meant by Turiyam here, pure consciousness. See, till today, in Western thought, mostly in Western psychology, even in neuroscience, they don't make a distinction between mind and consciousness. They don't make a distinction between mind and consciousness. Thoughts and consciousness are supposed to be the same. In Western poetry, philosophy, you will see soul means the mind. Personality, mind, soul, they're taken as one entity. But in Indian thought, not only Advaita, consciousness or the Atman is separate from the mind, and that is separate from the body. A trichotomous view of the human personality. Body, mind and Atman. So consciousness is apart from the mind, where this I may come and go like a refrigerator light. This may come and go, she is right there. But what Advaita speaks about is not that I. Speaking about the light which shines on that I. When the I is present, when the I is absent also. One more question, then we wrap up. I think today's going was a little heavy. I sort of expected it to be heavy. Okay, I'll take up your question. Yeah, go ahead.
If I know that at the moment that I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, I am not a sleeper, so I should be indifferent to all the emotions like happiness, sorrows or everything.
Yes.
I should just see emotions going in front of me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So why should I feel sympathy to a poor, or why should I have a sympathy towards someone who needs my help? I should be indifferent to him.
True.
Why shouldn't I kill him?
Yeah, true. First of all, you wouldn't kill him also because you would be indifferent to your own emotions also, right? So now there's an interesting question, but the answer is also pretty straightforward. Now you see, there are two ways of looking at this. One is the turium is apart from the waker and the waking world, right? First of all, why are we identified with all this? The reason given in Advaita is because we are ignorant of the turium. We are not aware of it at all. We are not aware of it at all. We don't understand it. We may read about it, but we don't feel it. When we are ignorant of something, error comes. This is the fundamental thing. From ajnana, or let's use English, from ignorance comes error. Comes error. If I don't know that there is a rope, in the darkness, the rope is there, a semi-darkness. So what do I see? A snake. So I am ignorant of the rope and I make the error, I think it's a snake. Right? I am ignorant of myself as the untouched, unchanging, pure consciousness. And what I see in myself in front of me, the world, this body and mind. And I immediately identify myself with this mind. Mind is full of thoughts, happiness, sadness, desires, everything. And I go on like this. I become the waker. I become the waker. Now, this is one way of looking at it. So the turium is apart from the waker. To answer your question, turium is apart from the waker. If you're really apart from it, you ought to be indifferent to it. Or another way of looking at it is the turium itself which appears as the waker and the waking world. Just like in your dream, you appear as the dreamer and the dreaming world. The one who is sleeping and dreaming. In his mind, he creates a dream. And he is also himself in that dream. In fact, the entire dream, the people in the dream, the animals and the non-living things, and he himself in the dream, all of them are not apart from his mind. He's actually become everything in that dream. And this states that this turium itself is appearing as all this. In other words, the turium is one with all. Now, some sadhaka or some spiritual giant may stress the oneness aspect of it. You'll find in Vivekananda again and again and again, he says, you are one, we are one with the universe. It's not a rhetorical thing. You should feel one with the universe, which is good, but he states this as a fact, as an assertion. Actually, you are one with the universe. If you limit yourself to this body and mind, you're separate from all bodies and minds. But if you see what is behind that, like gold, then you are one with everything made of gold. Gold is one with everything made of gold. You see yourself as pure consciousness. In yourself, all these things are taking place. Then you have a sense of oneness with all beings. If you stress that oneness, then the unhappiness of a person, the misery of another person actually will bring a response in you. Just as right now my misery brings a response in me, when I have sarvatma bhava, the oneness with everybody, it automatically does. And you see it in the lives of great sadhakas and great spiritual giants. They respond to the life, to the sufferings of others. But you are right. There may be a kind of spiritual giant who does not respond, who may not be cruel, but may simply be indifferent to the world which he will see as a dream. So there have been such people, and they have also been very great spiritual people also. And you can see it in them, a kind of deep peace and joy is there within them. If somebody comes in front who is suffering, they will help. And that has been explained in different ways. And then a simple explanation would be, these people have gone through a long period of spiritual practice. And so the mind of that person is suffused with thoughts of good thoughts, helpful thoughts. After realization, when he sees himself apart from all, what would he do? He would let the body and mind go on doing what they were doing, like an inertia of motion. So the inertia of motion of a sage would be to help others. He is apart from the helping also. He sees himself as illumining both the helper and the helped. This here, we are really going to the peak of the Everest here. The final word the Upanishads have to say about this. And I've packed so much into one class. I was seeing the explanation given by a very senior Swami. I've given you just 4 or 5 points here, the whole 1 hour session. That Swami, he explains this verse in 127 points, out of which I've given you less than 10% today. So if there seem to be gaps, it's very natural. If you think it's all perfectly clear, then either you are a realized soul or you haven't been following what's going on. There should be some gaps actually. There should be some areas of confusion or where you can feel a little uneasy about what's going on here. Should we wrap it up? Tomorrow, I'm going into the extensions of this mantra, what the implications, and Gaudapada Acharya's Karikas will take up 7 or 8 karikas, which is in the second handout, which will come tomorrow. Thank you very much.
One more workshop is